It is time for another match of professional StarCraft 2, and what I got for you today is a Zerg versus Protoss. Spawning in the top right corner of Habitation Station, we got the blue Zerg known as Solar. And his opponent is going to be none other than herO. Now herO, I believe, is actually going to be teamless for the moment at the very least. He is a very successful Protoss player though. He ended up winning an SSL, a Casper Cup, as well as 3 Intel Extreme Masters, as well as countless second places, as well as, victories in minor tournaments. Whereas his opponent, Solar, I've introduced him many a times on this channel already. He's won 3 DreamHacks, he's won an SSL as well, and all things considered, he's an extremely successful Zerg player, rather, and one of the very best in the world right now. Now this is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss played in the new patch, and I've personally been struggling quite a little bit in this matchup, and I wonder what Solar is going to end up doing. I've not seen this game myself just yet. But obviously, late game Zerg versus Protoss is looking pretty terrifying right now, as Protoss has got a lot of options to get a super powerful force out. Now, I wonder what Solar has got planned for this game. One thing to note about Habitation Station, by the way, is that there are golden mineral patches right here that can be taken relatively early on into the game if you want to, get your third base a little bit more exposed. But usually, you can still quite easily grab it. It looks like actually Solar is planning to move over there, try his very best to get that golden base up as early as possible into this game. He's actually skipping out on producing anything for the moment here. He does have the resources available to make it, but nice little bit of blocking here by herO, even going for the pylon to make sure that that gold base does not go down. At the same time, on the Protoss end of the map, the very early Nexus here going down, actually going for the low ground expansion into the double gas geysers right here in the main. Interestingly enough, mining 3 and 2, a little bit of a harass once again, going down at the other third base here, and I wonder if herO is planning to block this as well. As you can see, Solar has been delayed quite a lot actually, and it's even forced him, and there we go, we do see the pylon go down. It's even forced Solar to go for the queens in the main as well as in the natural here before, really throwing up that third base. This is going to be a pretty big pain actually, because he's not going to be able to expand for quite a little while. And obviously this does cost herO quite a bit as well. Is he going to cancel? No cancel this time around. So he's really planning to block this, and he may even go for another building here. I wonder. Wow, there we go. Cybernetics core going down as well right now for herO. This is one of the faster buildings for the Protoss. As you can see, even after the pylon gets taken care of, it's still going to keep on building. It's still going to keep on gathering more and more HP. And here we go. The first adept out on the map as well is going to start moving across here. We'll be taking out a couple of these Zerglings. And slowly but surely, I'm starting to be a little bit worried here for Solar. This third base is going to not go up for quite a little while. I mean, that Cybernetics core is going to block this for forever. Nice little bit of shading once again by herO, making sure that this is not going to go up for a little while longer. And the second adept joining in very shortly here as well. Eventually, though, this Cybernetics core will be dealt with, and this is going to be something that Solar will need to respond to accordingly. The adepts right now in the mineral line as well, trying to do whatever damage they can, not really dealing a whole lot just yet. I believe he just sniped the one drone at the third base. Yeah, we do see a single worker go down for the moment, which I guess is something that is pretty much perfect here for Solar. But while he does get the third base up here eventually, this is a little bit scary. Now the adepts do get called off right now in the middle of the map. A couple more Zerglings do, have to pay right there with their lives, but already herO going for an extremely aggressive opener, and that's really what he's known for. Like, he's extremely good when it comes to macro, of course, but very aggressive opener here, delaying his opponent and really just trying to throw Solar off of his game. Now, truth be told, in many of these scenarios, it's actually the Zerg that comes out ahead. Even though, he obviously had to, delay his expansion for quite a little while, it actually cost a lot of resources here from the Protoss to try and delay that base. And it's arguably speaking, like in many instances, not really going to pay off. Unless you manage to throw off the Zerg, it's not really going to pay off. Now, it looks like Solar has responded here by going for the very late, or maybe he's even going to skip the Pneumatized Carapace here, which is the Overlord speed upgrade. But he's still going to scout perfectly into the double Stargate. And this is what terrifies me in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup, actually. I don't really know exactly how to respond in the double Stargate scenario. And I wonder what Solar has got planned for this. Now, at this point in time, third base is up for the Zerg. He's going to be able to start, the droning up of this base very shortly. First, a handful of Zerglings still going down, probably just in case the third, will be harassed by these adepts as well. But it looks like, wow, herO going for the double Stargate after the super aggressive early play. We'll be going for the Oracle Harass as well as the eventual Mothership Core, but then also a very, very fast third base. And I love this playstyle here from herO. Super aggressive, going for the hyper aggressive strategy in the earlier stages, and just simply taking risks here that are 100% calculated. Solar will not be able to counter this third base unless he commits extremely heavily, and I highly doubt he plans to really do a whole lot about it. Looks like it's not going to be the case, and this will allow herO to start building up that Stargate play, and that's really what Zerg is absolutely terrified for. First Oracles out on the map. I don't even know. Now there's already a Spore Crawler right here in the main base. I don't even know if he's gonna go for the main. It looks like he does decide to not even go there and just simply snipe off whatever creep tumor he can. Obviously, if he can pick off a couple of drones, that is what he's looking for here ideally, but he does not want to lose these Oracles. They are great at tagging, at revelating, or revealing rather. The spell is called Revelation. Would you be revelating? I'm not entirely sure, but he's gonna be able to reveal his opponent's army with relative ease later on into the game, and he can tag the Zerg army with relative ease. Now for the moment, I really like this response actually. Solar adding on more and more Queens. Queens are actually great anti-air units. Probably one of the most underutilized units here for the Swarm. I just wonder what he's got planned once the carriers do come out. Slight little supply block here for herO. We'll be able to continue producing here very, very shortly now that that third Nexus has indeed finished up, and that third will start mining here very, very shortly. And Solar actually gonna respond by just simply droning up more heavily and going for the fourth base as well. Now, in many instances, Solar followed this up with a very aggressive push. Solar is known to play relatively aggressive against this sort of play, because it seems like the general consensus right now from Zerg players is that if you let the Protoss macro and get the Stargate out and really start building up those Stargate units, you're gonna be in an extremely scary position. I wonder what he's planning to do in this game. Maybe he has found a way to deal with the mass amount of Stargate units. The Solar does decide to actually drone up this fourth here for a little while right now as well. He's got a significant amount of Queens already. And with the, actually, he's going to go for the centrifugal hooks right now as well. With those upgrades going down, I wonder what he's got planned. The Phoenixes do drop a couple of these drones to their deaths, lifting them up and dropping them back down in splashes of blood, I suppose. +2 melee going down for Solar, so not, you know, switching into any Hydralisk, which did recently get nerfed again as well. But I think he's just simply planning to make a big push. I mean, this is gonna be so difficult to break though. Look at this setup. Beautiful walling here by herO. First walling in that natural, having a sentry there for the force fields as well, so this is going to be very difficult to block, as well as a similar setup right now for herO at that third base. Beautiful turtle style, and I guess this is where things get terrifying because the first carriers are on the way. Obviously, carriers, extremely expensive units. They take about 2.5 years to produce each. But for the moment, if the Zerg is not going to be pushing in time, I mean, he's going to produce 3 carriers at a time, and I'm kind of worried here for Solar, because once 3 to 6 to maybe even 9 carriers hit the field, it is extremely difficult for the Zerg to start countering that army. Now, more and more Queens still on the production tab. They're still going to be able to deal some damage, but they will need to move across the map, but obviously they're extremely slow off creep. For the moment, though, it looks like there's just simply some harass here for herO, trying to do whatever damage he can, but these Queens already have got a ton of energy, and with +2 attack just about to finish up here as well, at the very least like just over halfway done, it looks like Solar may very well be making a move across the map. He's got eyes on that fourth base here. He knows that that is not taken just yet, but I'm a little worried here. He's got a big economy, he can make a lot of things, but there's really no army here from Solar that can shoot up, other than a couple of corrosive bios and a ton of Queens. But Queens are going to be great, but later on, you're really looking to add on maybe some Corruptors here as well. At the same time, Stasis Wards going down, actually, and I love this. There's Stasis Wards everywhere here from the Protoss. The Mothership has joined this fight as well. It's going to obviously cloak a lot of these units, but these Stasis Wards are going to be an absolute pain here for Solar to deal with. As soon as he moves up the ramp, and there we go. Beautiful Stasis Ward activating. It's gonna disable a significant chunk of his army, and really what herO is doing here is buying time. The carriers have arrived, more and more will be joining very, very shortly, and these carriers will be able to deal a ton of damage the longer the game goes on. But here we go, force fields not going down in time, and actually a significant chunk of that Protoss army does get taken out. A lot of the Queens will be helping here as well. Transfuse is going down, keeping them alive for a very long amount of time. They did manage to kill all of the interceptors here for the time being, and while they are very cheap to reproduce, the Zerg army is gonna roll into this third base. It will start dealing as much damage as possible, and that third base may very well end up falling here for herO. herO obviously very limited in the amount of income that he gets, as his main base will be starting to mine very dry, as well as his natural here in just a couple of minutes, and with that third taken care of, this is actually looking very, very powerful here for Solar, except for the fact he still does not have a very powerful army to shoot up with. I mean, more and more carriers are joining in right now, and the Protoss is right now on the prowl as well. The Spire is going up, and there are still a lot of queens out, and more into production as well. 5 actually being produced right now at a time. Once again, Zerglings going up to that newly acquired third base, immediately forcing the cancel. But is there enough army here for Solar to deal with these Stargate units? I mean, once he gets Corruptors out, he's going to be in a good spot, in particular once he finishes up armor upgrades on them. But for now, he is really looking extremely limited. Nice backing up though for the time being, going into that Spore Crawler radius. We'll be able to transfuse the Queens here for a very long amount of time, and just simply trying to kill all of the Interceptors. Now they do reproduce very, very quickly, but the Queens can kill them faster than they can be reproduced. Spire just about to finish up, will be able to start producing those Corruptors. Judging by his amount of resources right now, he's going to be able to produce quite a couple at once, and immediately 8 do go down on the production tab. Constant harassment though. Zerg currently on 5 bases, but I would not be surprised if 1 or 2 of them will start falling here. Constant checking here with the Zerglings, making sure that there's no additional economy, and as you can see, that main base is practically dead already for the Protoss as well as the natural. It will start mining low very, very quickly. 3 more carriers just about to join the battle as well, and with this amount of carriers, it's going to be extremely scary for Solar to do anything. 2 Corruptors getting picked off immediately, a Queen desperately trying to join the rest of the forces as well, but it also does get picked off. And with this natural falling, I'm starting to be worried here for Solar. I mean, he managed to do a lot of damage, he managed to deny that Protoss economy for quite a while there, and he made sure that it didn't max out very quickly, but he doesn't have a lot of army here to deal with all of these Protoss units, and that's exactly what I've been struggling as well in the Zerg versus Protoss matchup. Once you get to this point in the game, the Protoss is just looking so extremely powerful. Carriers even being used defensively right now as well. Sentries are on the top of that natural ramp, and this is going to be extremely difficult to break. I mean, he can try all he wants, but he's got no more Ravagers in this army to try and, you know, block down these force builds that can potentially go up. And while there is still a relatively big amount of supply here, it looks like actually Solar is going to engage, but wow. The recall going down, bringing all of these Protoss units to safety. And at this point, he's going to be able to regroup with all of the carriers that already were at home. And while Protoss is going to mine out right now, and he will need to try and, yeah, he's going to go ahead and actually retake the gold base once again. He's going to have to try and get that one out. The Zerg is still mining, but he doesn't have the critical mass. It all comes down to the amount of units that you can get here to deal with these Protoss units, and I'm starting to be a little bit worried. Look at all these Protoss forces. They are extremely powerful. Sentries there as well to try and block down. Well, you get the force builds. There we go. Beautiful force builds going down as well, obviously. Nothing too surprising from a top-level Protoss, and slowly but surely, herO is going to be able to power his way through this, trying to target fire here desperately to those Void Rays, but the Prismatic Alignment obviously deals additional bonus damage to armored units such as Corruptors, and indeed, eventually herO, even though he managed to, lose his third base after that extremely aggressive early game play, he builds up that super powerful Protoss army. And herO ends up picking up the victory. Very, very solid play by him. Fun game to watch for sure. Solar playing extremely aggressive after realizing what the strategy that his opponent was going for here was. But sadly, he did not manage to break the natural. And while the third base ended up falling, the Protoss army, the Golden Armada, was already advancing across the map. If you enjoyed watching this video, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. And while you're at it, go ahead and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Links are in the description. I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you in the next one.